Good morning, this is Robin Bieber on Chart Talk on the 12th of May at 6:45 in the morning London time. The chart in front of us is June RBOB, and we'll have a very close look at June RBOB because it's probably going to give us some clues this morning, and we need clues. The market is looking tired and suffering from trend fatigue. It's spent the last 5 days banging its head up against resistance, particularly on WTI. And we'll have a look at the WTI first line continuation chart in a minute, which is a very good example of a market continually trying to move higher but failing at resistance. Now that in and of itself isn't critical, but what is critical is that we hold the 5-day moving averages, because if we don't, we're sliding back below them to the 8-day moving average on a textbook slingshot move. Now, the fives must hold, and Brent and WTI closed below them last night, although WTI has just clawed its way back above the 5-day as we talk. If we fail at the fives, it's not a catastrophe. The fives are indicators of momentum and immediate upside potential. If they fail, all it indicates is a trend that is tired and it needs to cool off, and it goes back to the 8-day moving averages, which must hold. If we fail to hold the 8s, we are going to go lower on a correction, and we could see some significant loss of value. So the 5-day moving averages are absolutely critical, and holding them is essential, or we dip back to the 8s. And if the 8s fail, then we're in trouble. Now, the best example is is June RBOB, and here's the 5-day moving average coming in around about 92.25, and also interestingly there's a correction point that comes in on which comes off the RBOB first line continuation at 92.04. Here you've got it. It's a very, very important correction point. Now 92.04 and 92.29 combine to make a critical support, initial support for RBOB, and we're currently printing 93.27. If we fail to hold the 5-day, the odds are a slide to the 8-day, which comes in around 88.77. So there's a 400-point move in store for us if that occurs. And it would be contagious negatively for the rest. This 5-day is the most important support on the board today, which linked with the correction point brings us an area 92.25 to 04 that must hold, or there's problems. A concern is the stochastic, which until a second or two ago was just negative. It's just popped, maintained positive for the moment, but if that flips negative, it's the hint of an early warning signal for weakness. The key is the 5-day moving average. Watch it like a hawk. 92.25 to 04 is an essential pivot that must hold. Now, if we look at WTI and we look at the first line continuation chart here, there you've got a critical correction point, 25.17. It's the correction point from the move 65.65 down to minus 40.32. It's tried, as you can see, for the last 5 days, and today is the 6th, to punch its way above and not once closed above. This is a big pivot, resistance pivot. There are no targets higher until it's moved and closed above. Meanwhile, the 5-day moving average must hold. Coming in around 24.19 today. It must hold. If it doesn't hold, we're off to the 8-day, which is around 23.21. In other words, there's weakness. Now, in all of this, if the 5-day fails, it is only a loss of momentum. The 8-day is the key pivot for the trend support, and only moves and closes below the 8s signal some seriously lower numbers. At the moment, moving below the 5s would just have us testing the 8s. Brent is similar. It's below the 5 around 29.93 area. If it moves back over here, it goes into resistance testing mode. If it fails to get above the 5, look for a test of the 8 around 29.28. That must hold, or we're going south. It's got a wobbly stochastic, but nothing confirmed yet. Heating on is above the 5 at 86.06 by quite some way actually, but so long as the 5 holds, that's fine. If it fails, then look for a move back to around 84.90 area, which is where the 8-day moving average comes in, and use the 5 as the key pivot. And June gas oil, about to be spot but not quite, is testing its 5 at 255.25. It's printing 256. It's got its 8-day at 250.4. 50, and were it to fail at the 5, then look for a test of the 8. The message today is simple. Watch RBOB initially around 92.2504 area. That's where its 5-day moving average comes in. That is a key support pivot today, and what it does there will affect everyone. If the contracts can hold their 5s today, then upside and more tests of resistance are likely. Or, if they fail, we're going down to the 8-day moving averages, most likely on a slingshot move. The 5s indicate momentum higher. The 8s are key trend support. Only moves and closes below the 8 would signify or signal failure. Moving below the 5 to the 8s is far from a catastrophe. It often happens in uptrends. And it's often a case of what occurs when the market is looking tired and trend fatigued. So watch the 5s in particular initially today, and then the 8s if they fail. If the 5s hold this afternoon, then we're in for more tests of resistance. At the moment, the market looks tired, but it could shrug that off in a hurry. Use the 5s as the barometer. Now, if we look at some structure, WTI deck red deck, below the 5, above the 8. The 5's 409, it's printing 407. The 8 comes in around 428, and it's really what it does between the 5 and the 8s that matter here. Yes, it had a bit of a violent day yesterday, but it's shrugging that off, and it's all now down to what happens at the 5 and 8s. And again, Brent is holding the 8-day at 454, it's printing 452. It's below the 5-day at 441. What happens here is going to give us the next leg. The stochastic is wobbly, but still positive. Watch carefully what's going on today. Have a look at the 60-minute chart here. Not really giving us any clues at all on Brent. It's stuck mid-range. There's a hint of of upside for the next couple of hours. And on RBOB, it's pretty much the same. So no real clues coming from the 60-minute charts. That's all for today, folks. Good luck, good trading, and bon appetit.